Hi, I'm Jazz and I'm an alcoholic and I'm codependent. I work a 12-step program and I seek help. I'm a seeker and a traveler in my journey. I came into this program and I had really low self-esteem. I was really overwhelmed because I was looking at all of these codependent traits and patterns, and I was almost every single one. So I thought that I had a controlling problem, and I thought I had low self-esteem problem because I knew that because I came from substance abuse, but when I came here, I really saw what those behaviors look like and how they played out in my life. And I was like, oh, I'm doing all these things. And so it was a lot to acknowledge. And I've given myself that time to acknowledge and work on it. And I have to continue to work on it. But when I really started working on my low self-esteem, it's one of the greatest gifts to have higher self-esteem now. And I'm just able to do so much more than I ever used to be able to do. And my life is unfolding in a way that I like and am proud of to see. And I wouldn't have got there if I didn't work on some of this stuff. So some signs of low self-esteem in me, and I'm going to just talk about myself, but signs of my low self-esteem was not knowing the difference between my needs and wants, not honoring those needs and wants. I couldn't tell the difference. It took a while. And I often needed everything else around me to feel safe, to be safe. I need my mother to act a certain way. I needed my boyfriend to act a certain way so that I could be okay, because I didn't have any safety tools for my own self at that time. So I wasn't good at, starting things or finishing things, or make excuses for not following through on things, whatever I didn't follow through on, or maybe I was too scared to start stuff, so I wouldn't start certain things. I'd refrain and stay. I didn't have the best priorities. I had some priorities, but I didn't have healthy direction and plans for my priorities. So often my priorities would get jumbled around, or I would change them up depending on the day, time, or person. So they weren't stuck in line. I didn't have that good orderly direction of what's an important thing here and what's not. So even like, for instance, for myself, my priority for myself was very low. If anything, it was last. It was behind my kids. It was behind my relationship. And that was across the board for a whole bunch of things. I didn't have strong boundaries. I had maybe a few boundaries, like I should go to meetings, but I didn't have a lot of boundaries in my life. I didn't have boundaries in my mind. One of the boundaries that I have today that I'm working on is, people are going to say and do things that I don't like, and people are going to be wrong, and things are going to be said that are going to hurt. I'm going to feel hurt, or I'm going to know that that's disrespectful and that doesn't feel nice to me. And I would let that stuff come all the way in. And now I see it coming. It comes to my door, and I say to myself, I don't let bad things in. I don't believe that. I think that I'm good. I think that I'm a good mother. I think that I can be a good partner. I think, I have self-love. So things come to my door that are really negative and hurtful. Sometimes it gets in, I get it out, but even in my mind, it's up to me what comes in or not. And I was, concerned about, because I was concerned about other people being safe for me, I would get mad at those people for that, for saying nasty things, like you shouldn't be doing that and that. And so now it's just, I don't believe it. In my head, I don't believe it, and I don't own something that someone else says about me. So that's been a huge part of overcoming some self-esteem issues in my journey. So today I have lots of boundaries that I'm aware of, and sometimes my boundaries change. Sometimes I can change my mind, and I'm okay with that. But I decide what my boundaries are by listening to what's going on inside of me. I'm better at making decisions today. So I wasn't very good at making decisions, and I definitely was not good at making hard decisions. I was way more judgy. So judgment of people, telling people what to do, giving advice, focusing on how their life should be better or what they can do. That's me being judgmental. And that's a sign of low self-esteem that I work on. Seeking, valuing, approval, praise from, pointing things out that I've done. I remember this, I was with a partner that didn't notice anything. And I constantly would point out my tasks that I did. And because I was seeking that recognition, I was seeking for that outside approval to feel noticed and valued. And I caught myself doing stuff at home, and I caught myself in this behavior of almost needing that approval from that person. And today, it started back then, but I started working on stopping myself from doing that. So I would clean the house, or I would clean the floors, and I'd clean them often because of all the kids, and it would go unnoticed. But I would just say to myself, I cleaned the floors. I did a really good job. I cleaned the floors today. I got that thing on my list crossed off. So that's also maybe part of starting a relationship with myself. But every time I would clean the floors, I'd find myself seeking for that approval or to be noticed or recognized, and needing that value from there. I started giving myself the value, and then I didn't need the value now from the outside. And so then I did that with more things in my life, where I would just do it, and then I would value myself for the thing that I did. And that released me from needing that thing from somewhere else, needing something that's an unpredictable source. They might not give me that recognition and approval that I'm seeking, but I have decided now to just give myself that approval and knowing that I'm good enough. And so I'm not spending my energy doing that anymore. I used to not see much value even in myself and not provide my own needs and wants and safety and self-love. And I didn't used to do self-care. I do all of those things now. I still have to work on when people give me compliments. I still talk about this in meetings today, but when people give me compliments and praise, I'm so not used to that. I could take someone saying something nasty to me a lot better than someone saying something really nice and kind to me. It just makes my skin crawl. So that is something that I work on, that I when I got into a room, I did not think that was a sign of low self-esteem because I'm not used to that kind of treatment in my life. So, being around healthier people and people that do give compliments without any return, not even a thank you, everyone's practicing being loving, and I'm getting used to compliments. I'm getting better at handling nice compliments that are for real, because I believe compliments are a gift and a very kind and loving gesture. But that's still something that I have to work on. Another thing that I started working on, this one was more in my first program, because I think ego is very related with trying to be right about everything. And because before I hit these rooms, I was more in a victim mentality. Justice system was flaring up. And one of my habits was to be right and to always point things out, to always one-up someone, to always have the last say. I knew better. I was better. And, you should listen to me, the big bad jazz. And I had everything to say about everything because I'm so much more superior to everyone. And I used to be like that. And I had to go through conversations where I would feel like they're wrong and I didn't agree with it. And normally I'd have to go and fix that and attack that and right, make things even, right the playing field, put that person in their place. And I used to spend a lot of energy doing that with people in my life, feeling right. And it's like a false sense of self-esteem building. And it ruins relationships with people and myself. And I've really moved away from that. And so it all started small and in my mind. When I think about changing all of these behaviors, it always started upstairs. That awareness started there. And, and it probably added to so much of that anxiety that I always had. And, because, it's not a good feeling, but I didn't know why I was feeling that way. So anyways, I stopped being right and letting people just say what they want to say, even if I don't think it's correct. And coming back with a more neutral response, something that's validating with empathy. And, because I have to lead with love. And I'm not there to make someone feel bad for having an opinion. And I still do value connections and people, but I want to change. So this is part of my change of stopping to trying to be right in every situation that I'm approached with. And, going around my life doing that with everyone is very exhausting. So I'm no better than anyone else. Other people can have their say and I don't need to correct them. And I can also disagree in my own mind. I don't always have to say my rebuttal or my opinion. So I actually often now even refrain from going into detail. I don't even really say my opinion or what I'm thinking as much anymore, unless I think that person is trustworthy or safe or actually wants to know. And as I've grown in this recovery, I've gotten a lot quieter and not a lot of people want to know what I have to say. And I spend less of my energy by just saving the good stuff for the people that really want to hear it and have those conversations with people that really value me and my time, because I did also spend a lot of time talking to people who don't care for what I say or value what I say. And what that does to me is it puts me in this mode of trying to convince that person. And I notice now, like if I'm in that, I need to stop, refrain, and pull myself back in, because I'm giving myself away to someone that doesn't appreciate me. And I used to just give myself away to everyone and say yes to everything and have something to say about everything. And I say a lot less now. I am way more careful. And if I am starting to talk with someone, I've got a bit of traction built. Like I kind of know this person and what they're about. And there is now a bit of time, trust, and safety built before I go right into sharing everything about myself. So, this all compiles on top of itself to help me have healthy and loving relationships in my life. And then really being able to learn how to save the goods for the good, and in not giving everything away, giving it away in the right places, and just really honoring my boundaries and figuring out what those are is such a huge thing for self-care and self-love. And I love that I don't have to need anyone's approval and seeking recognition for all the things that I've done. I just know what I'm doing, and I'm proud of myself for the things that I do. And so I'm not out there trying to get things all the time because I need things to fill my cup. Like I'm filling my cup. But it's also given me eyes for when I see, other people needing my approval and seeking that from me. It's given me also that other bit of awareness to, what they're showing me about themselves. And that awareness really helps me navigate through life, through who's working it and who's staying on track and who's healthy, right? So what I develop in me, I see now. And it just trickles into, I've worked on lots of codependent patterns in this program. And by working on a little bit of them all the time, it is all rising. And I'm becoming a recovered codependent. I'm always recovering from my codependency. And with my low self-esteem becoming high self-esteem, by becoming and working through these things, I get the confidence. I'm not trying to look and be confident and mask and look like I have it together. I'm really getting it together. And that's real truth and growth coming from that inside growth comes from inside to out. It just comes out of me effortlessly because I'm working at this program and grinding through it and going through the hard stuff and letting, watching people be disappointed and still loving myself through those other people's reactions and feelings, and developing this separateness from me and them, and being okay with it. And I've learned how to be okay with that. So I've become someone that has way better self-esteem, but I am not better than anyone else. I am equal to, and everyone else is on their own path for them. And that's going to look different than my path. This is just what I've been doing and what works for me. And for someone else, it's going to be different for them. And between them and their higher power and their connections and their life and their past and their family is very different than my life and my history. So, but this stuff that I talk about is stuff that I've learned in the rooms, and it works big time. So thank you guys.